At Cumbernauld Academy, the transition process is really important to us, and I just wanted to say thank you very much to all the parents who filled out surveys with students in P7 and S1. It's really helpful for us to get an insight into what the situation is, what the main concerns are. So those surveys have been massively helpful. So thank you very much. I would just like to take this opportunity to maybe share a few of the results with you, and hopefully you'll find that interesting. So we're going to start with the P7 survey, and question 1 was, to what extent are the following statements true about your child's experience in primary school? And I think from this we found out that the experience of students in primary school was so overwhelmingly positive. If you look at the results here, you can see that there's a huge amount in the positive, which is fantastic to see. And for us, the message that we've taken away from this is that obviously that the transition moving away from such a secure and stable and positive environment will be very daunting for students, and as they move into secondary school. And I think we really understand that it's a very daunting experience and that it's important that students are supported through this. Question 2 was, to what extent are the following statements true about your child's thoughts on starting secondary school? So we asked a variety of points here. I think that we can see clearly that students are excited about starting, students and parents are excited about starting at Cumbernauld Academy. Equally, a lot of people feeling nervous, and quite rightly so. Everything is very uncertain at the moment, and while I can hopefully reassure you that we'd do absolutely everything to support and reassure your child and yourselves as much as we possibly can, I can understand that it's very daunting and that people would be feeling understandably nervous. The interesting one here for me was organisation, and that parents felt that maybe some of their children would struggle slightly with organisation, and that's something that maybe we can look at supporting a little bit more. Question 3 was, my child's biggest concern about starting at Cumbernauld Academy is, and the overwhelming response here, while there was a variety of responses, the overwhelming response was that work was too difficult. So normally we'd have staff that are able to visit the primary schools to deliver lessons, so students know what the level is, they feel confident moving up, they know what the standard is. And obviously that hasn't been able to happen with COVID, so this is a bit of a learning curve for everybody. So making sure that students understand the level of work before they move up is certainly something that we're going to try our best to do, mostly through Teams, it must be said, and mostly through videos and video lessons and things like that. So we'll try our best to make sure that is in place. Homeworks, the school day, strictness, and fitting in were also kind of key points that people highlighted. Question 5 was, to what extent do you agree with the following statements about your child's digital learning? And from this, we learned that mostly, on the whole, that people thought that their child engaged well with digital learning. And then, in fact, more positive was that parents thought that their child felt confident using Microsoft Teams, which is obviously great to hear, as this is something that we're relying on quite heavily at the moment. So that's really good to hear. Question 6 was about digital devices and gaining a bit of insight into who was using what type of device. The majority of people used phones. Laptops were a relatively close second, and tablets a relatively close third. People did put a few other options in the other category, which was a little bit interesting to see that some people were accessing Teams through games consoles, which was kind of interesting. Obviously, that is possible to do. I should perhaps have rephrased or maybe altered this question slightly. I would be really interested to see if there's any students or any parents that either don't have access to a digital device, or whether there's students that are sharing a device, because obviously that presents challenges at home, and we understand that. So obviously, if you're sharing a device with a sibling or with a parent, that means that the time that you have on that device is reduced, and so learning is harder to complete. So it's something that we understand, and I will think that there'll probably be a follow-up survey covering that in the future. Question 8 was, the subject my child is most looking forward to is, so this was really interesting to look at, particularly amongst staff. So the outright winner by quite a long way was art and design. A lot of people obviously looking forward to a bit of art and design come August, which is excellent to see, and the art department, I'm sure, will be very happy to hear that. Also popular were science and design and technology, with PE coming a close third. So it seems that the practical subjects are kind of taking the lead a little bit. I was a little bit disappointed to see that my own subject, music, was down slightly low, but a very interesting outcome nonetheless. Question 9 was to do with what resources you would most valuable in terms of supporting you through the transition. And this was really interesting to see because it seemed that videos were the outright winner. So the main winner were video introductions from staff and departments, which was very interesting. We did that last year. It worked quite successfully, was very popular. So it's interesting to see that P7s are looking forward to that the most, and that would be the most helpful and the most supportive, followed by information videos and guides. So I think that video seems to be the way forward, hence why I'm doing this as opposed to just sending it to you as a document. So very interesting for us to see. So I just wanted to reiterate, thank you ever so much for parents for participating. It's really helpful for us. Thank you very much for those of you who's provided your email address for any follow-up surveys. It's so helpful for us in this time, which is, we understand is really difficult. So we're going to do the best we can to make sure everyone's supported, and we look forward to welcoming the P7s to Cumbernauld Academy in August.